Laura Loomer posted this, saying President Trump posted this on Truth Social last night. He's calling the Islamic communist candidates in Michigan and Minnesota jihadists. Elon Omar, Rashida Talib, and Abdul El Sayed are jihadists. It's time for the rest of the GOP to adopt this language. Yes, I agree. So, I've been saying this for a long time. So to adopt this language, stop calling them socialists. Well, you should call them jihadists and Marxists, because socialists, yes, socialist is too soft, but Marxism is as dangerous as jihadism. So don't stop calling them Marxists. But Marxists and jihadists, I think I like this. Yeah, jihadists. What do you guys think?
I think this is both a descriptive and good marketing. They are literally doing jihad by trying to take over the US covertly. Um, Jihad doesn't have to be immediate boom booms or immediate violence. It can also be this. So they are jihadists. They're trying to advance Islam against the West by running in the elections. And this is language that is scary, and it's appropriately scary for most people who hear it.
I like
Yeah, I mean,
Islamo commies, but I like this too.
yeah, I mean to be yeah, exactly, because in this is actually Islamically accurate what you just said, because in Islam jihad is not just military. Jihad is anything that furthers the cause of Islam and helps expand Islam. It
It
could be
literally means
about
effort.
writing. Yeah, it literally means effort, right? So the best jihad is, you know jihad in war, like that's the best part of it, like, but there's so many other jihad as well. There's so many other, you could, like, if you're educating children with Islam, as they say, that is jihad, right? If you're doing YouTube videos on promoting Islam, that is jihad as well. So they're based on, if these people call out and say that this is Islamophobia, they're being anti-Islamic. If they come and say this is Islamophobic to call us jihadists, they're being Islamophobic. I know, by the way, guys, I know Islamophobia is a made up term that doesn't mean anything, but we could be like, what? Why are you offended? You're offended being called a jihadi? S- shouldn't you be proud of being a jihadi? Isn't that a fundamental part of the Quran? You should be like, yes, I am a jihadi. Thank you for recognizing that. Like, you're being anti-Islamic if you don't celebrate jihad.
So that's
You should be
haram.
like, yes, I.
You can't be anti-jihad. It would be haram.
It would be haram. It would be against the commandment of Allah to be against jihad. It would be a direct violation of God's commandment. Is so, monkey. It is beyond haram, because in Islam, if you do something haram, then you could either ask for forgiveness or get punished for it a bit in the afterlife before you go to heaven. So, for example, if I'm a Muslim and I drink alcohol, okay, I sinned. It's haram. Okay, this is way more than haram, because in Islam, if you deny the commandment of Allah, you have left the fold of Islam. If you sin, you have not left the fold of Islam. You're still a Muslim. So if I'm a Muslim and I eat pig, I sinned, and I'm still a Muslim. If I'm a Muslim and I have sex outside of marriage, I've sinned, but I'm still a Muslim, right? But if you deny the commandment of Allah, so here's the difference. Let's say this is alcohol, and I drink it, and then monkey comes to me like, you're a Muslim? Why are you drinking alcohol?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I shouldn't do that. That's a sin. It's my weakness." Okay, then I'm still a Muslim. But if monkey comes to me and if I say, if he says to me, "You're a Muslim, why are you drinking alcohol?" I like, that's okay. We can drink. That's not God's commandment. Then I'm denying God's commandment. If I do that, then I have left, I can be takfired. I am no longer a Muslim. So
You'd be an
if you
apostate.
deny that, yes. So if
It's
I deny
apostasy to
that,
deny jihad.
it's apostasy to deny the commandments of Allah, according to Islam. So if I deny that jihad is a commandment of Allah, then I have left the fold of Islam.
Interesting. It's good
Yeah.
for a debate tactic.
Yes. Yes. It's tech fearing. Go.
So
Sid,
so
you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say, like, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think that, and it's interesting, because you're forcing me to look at it in a different way. So, technically true. Okay, let's say it's technically true based on, based on, so there are different kinds of jihad, right? We know that, we understand that. There's the jihad of the sword, and there's jihad of the ballot box. um there's jihad of the womb, right? So
Yes.
we've heard this stuff before, so we understand that technically there are different ways to conduct jihad, and the ballot box is one way to conduct jihad, particularly in the West, right? In the abode of war. um
Yeah.
and I think it's also interesting, the idea that, like, as a pushback, you can say, well, what do you mean, are you saying that jihad is pejorative, right? Why is jihad a pejorative? Why should anybody be offended? Why should a Muslim be offended by being called a jihadist? So I think that's those are good points, and that's very interesting perspective. um
Okay.
but I do think that, just on the flip side, like, just from the political standpoint, I do wonder if this is good politics, because the sort of the average American has a sort of vision of jihad, right, which is more the jihad of the sword, and that's not what these guys are doing. And so it gives them a kind of an out, right? Like, it gives them a way to sort of position this as let's say, bigoted language. um so yeah, and we'll see. I mean, it might work out in his favor, it might not. But I do think that there's a value in understanding what these guys are doing, as opposed to the jihad of the sword, and to be able to sort of, to be able to frame it and define it. So I think that, like, let's say, one thing I think that they're doing, that all of them have in common, is they're doing apologia. They're doing apologia for violence, right? So they find ways to rationalize and excuse jihadi violence. And they will use sort of Western language, like, these are oppressed people, or, that these are, resistance, people resisting oppression, and they're resisting ethnic cleansing and genocide and so on. So, like, they will use it, but the idea is, they form a kind of a layer of obfuscation. The obfuscation is, right, okay, the violence happened, but why? Let's go to the root causes, right? So basically, let's not focus on the act itself. Let's focus the attention somewhere else. So I think this is something that they're all doing, and whether they are participating in the jihad of the sword or not, they are providing a function. They are providing a function that enables it, that makes it much more palatable to Western audiences. And this in itself is dangerous, and it's anti-American.
Monkey, do you want to add anything to that?
I think it's good to force the discussion. One of the things that Trump does as a bull in a china shop, it forces the discussion. Oh, well, that's not jihad. Well, what is jihad? Now you have to talk about what is jihad, and that leads to people having this conversation, at least those who are open to conversation. The ones that aren't open to conversation, well, we're not worried about them. We can't do anything about that. But the ones that are open to a conversation about it, you can trigger them into having the conversation, or you can make the ones that have some kind of doubt kind of like look into it. So from the standpoint of forcing the conversation, I see the value in it.
I would agree with that, Monkey. I mean, I think that this is something that I appreciate. Like, I do think, I have my issues with Trump, um, but I will say that I do think that there's a value in his sort of political provocation. And that there are some times where there's so much um, etiquette that forms around a sensitive topic, that we can't really have a proper conversation. And sometimes that etiquette just needs to be smashed, because there's not a sort of a delicate way to get at the real truth here. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think Monkey has a strong point there.
I also
All
just
right.
like to add that like marketing in general, you have to know how to compress a message, how to like reduce its dimensionality, because most people don't have the bandwidth for the kind of subtle analytical discussion that we're having here. And Trump is a master at that. And it's a really hard skill. And I think like at the end of the day, because this is true, um, and a lot of people will just by hearing it will associate these people with jihad, which they should because they are connected. Um, for a political messaging, as much as it might sound simplistic, it just is the right way to do it with regards to the bandwidth that people have to for political messaging.
Awesome. My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.